Welcome to Midlife Unplugged, the fuck it years. I'm your host, Lara Portelli. This is the space where we strip away the polite BS, rip the gloves off and get real about what it means to thrive in our second act. Each week I'm joined by a guest who's walking their own bodacious midlife path. We're talking menopause, divorce, reinvention and everything in between. Buckle up, because this isn't your mother's midlife crisis. This is Midlife Unplugged. And welcome back to Midlife Unplugged, the fuck it years. I'm your host, Lara Portelli, and I have the beautiful and amazing Leanna all the way from Arizona today. Welcome, Leanna. Welcome, and welcome to Midlife Unplugged. I can't wait to jump in and talk some amazing subjects with you today.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me.
So, Leanna, we're talking today about your experiences and what work you do around some of the work I'm doing at the moment with my clients as mentor is midlife edit. A lot of stigma and cliche about women hit menopause and life ends, or change of life as it was called probably in our grandmother's days and things like that, and what happens for women around this age group. And I'm really interested to know what your fuck it moment was. And what led you to where you are today and in what you do in your work, in your personal life, and the moments, your fuck it moments. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it growing up, it was something that was very taboo. It was called the change of life, and it was something that was kind of whispered, right? And it was this, I guess, this horrible thing that women endured somehow and got through. And then as I started getting older, my friends who were a little older than me would like, just wait till you're 40. Something happens and it's just magical. You stop caring. You're not super worried about what everybody's thinking about you. And I was just like, that sounds amazing and fantastic. And but it also felt so foreign. Like, how could I not care what everybody's thinking all the time? Right. And I remember this one, I was walking into a meeting and it was just one of those moments where I knew that the room I was walking into wasn't full of people who had necessarily my best interest at heart, but it was one of those rooms that, you have to go mix and mingle and you say the right things and you smile and you nod. And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I'm never going to be in a room like this again. I am so tired of being in rooms where it's just fake. And I thought, you know what? It was just instantaneous in this moment where I thought, you know what? This is no longer for me. And I really don't care what people think if I stop being in this room. And like, I had like this little kind of flashback of like, oh wait, maybe this is what my friends were talking about. I'm not concerned with what everybody thinks. I know this is not the room for me. And I think that started like a whole landslide of those moments.
Do you think walking into that room, that gut feeling that we talk about, do you think that was your perhaps women's intuition playing a part there, and that wisdom around that age that you were approaching? Like, you just knew that room wasn't for you, or it wasn't safe, or the people in that room. What was like? I know for myself, I was in a toxic marriage and home environment for 24 years of my life. And the signs were there, right? I knew I needed to leave. I needed to leave 10 years earlier than I did, but I kept pushing that feeling down. And that's what I really want to talk about on Midlife Unplugged. The fuck it is we know, like, we're born with this guiding system, this navigation system, GPS, if you will. But why do we go against it until we get to this age? It's like you said, the magic. It's like the magic wand comes out in our midlife, right?
Yeah. I I lean on my faith a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very in tune with those inner feelings, that intuition, that wisdom. I definitely believe that it's divinely given.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole life, I was just always told, you're too much. You can't, we're supposed to be seen, not heard. I was raised in that generation, right? You don't speak unless you're spoken to. And prior to doing the consulting that I'm doing now, I owned a digital marketing agency, and I was in charge of hundreds and thousands of portfolios and staff and this and that and all of these things. And it was in that I started to get some glimpses that true growth within the company, within our team, and within myself happened in those moments where I was brave enough to step into that loudness or that brightness or whatever word you want to call it, right? Maybe my authenticity. In those moments that I was scared, but I did it anyways, that's when I felt the most peace. I saw the most connection. That's when transformation really started to happen. And I think having enough of those moments throughout my 30s, it seemed like that light did click on that said, wait a second. If these are the moments that bring the most joy and the most peace, why wouldn't you start having them more often than not? Right?
Seeking them out, so to speak.
Yeah.
That divine, as you were saying, in your experience, seeking that divine experience, that divine truth.
Yeah.
And truth for it.
You don't want to give it up.
No. Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I like, what we, I wanted to talk to you about, Leanna, was the idea you were talking about, that having 5 quality friends that have your back, right? Because I know when we're a little bit younger, it's like, oh, I've got so many friends. I've just got so many friends. But do we really have 15, 20, 25 friends, or do we just have people that I've given up a part of myself or my soul because so they'll like me, so I can be in with the in crowd? And I like how you were discussing about you prefer to have 5 really good friends to talk about or to talk with now to have in your life, opposed to perhaps 10 or 15 sharks. You use the analogy sharks.
Yeah.
Talk me through a little bit about that. I really liked that. Like, what
Absolutely.
did you mean by that?
That was a game changer for me. A friend of mine, again, I have been blessed my entire life with women, being surrounded by women who are just 2 or 3 steps ahead of me, not miles ahead, not where I am, but just a couple steps ahead. That would be like, hey, you might want to watch out for this. You might want to watch out for that. And as I started to grow in business, I had a friend come to me and say, you become like the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And she said, I would like to be more like you. I would love for you to be one of my inner 5. And I was so touched and honored, but I'd also never heard the concept before, right? Up until then, it felt like I was always playing the popularity game. I want to have 5,000 friends on Facebook, and I want 200 people to come to my party, and I want, all of these vanity metrics, right? And when she said that, it reminded me that that's how I had been raised. Show me who you hang out with, I'll show you who you are. And I was like, I'm around all of these people, but it's all very surface level, right? She invited me to really kind of go deeper into friendships with people and expose me to the concept of the 5 people that you're around, right? And it goes back into knowing that I wasn't in the right room. When I walk out of the room now and I'm in my circle of friends, I know that they're talking about me, but they're talking about how proud they are of me, or what kind of goals that they have for me, or how I've helped them grow, right? It's never anything that is unkind or that they would not say to my face. They build me up in ways that I didn't even know was possible. And I know that they do this because I watch each of these people walk out of the room and I know how we talk about them. So I know that they wouldn't talk about me any differently, which is so different than the rooms I used to be in. When I had 50 friends, we'd go out to happy hour and there's 25 people there. The second someone walks away, they go, oh, did you hear? And then it's, kind of stirring the pot a little bit. And I thought, why would I think I'm any different? The second I walk away, what's being said? And that's not healthy, right? As women, we carry so many responsibilities. If you're a mom, if you're a wife, if you're a business owner, whatever, right? Sister, mom, friend, all of these things, it's hard. The last thing we need is to come at each other. The
Mm.
best thing that we could ever do for another woman on this planet is to help them shine brighter. If their crown is crooked, pull them aside, straighten it for them, send them back out there, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you only have those 5 people that you're investing in and they're investing in you, then you can do that on a quality level. If you have 15, 20, you really just can't get that same quality than when you
Mm.
have 5.
I like that. But it's like that internal system again. I've known over the years, I've been in situations, whether it's professional or a family dynamic or an in-law dynamic, and the minute someone leaves the room, the person starts to bitch and be nasty. Well, if you're doing that about them, you're doing it about me, and I don't want to be around that toxic energy.
Yep.
But at the time, for fear of, oh well, I don't have any other friends, or this is my lot in life. If it happens to be your in-laws or whoever it is, this is what it is. This is so. Then it's sometimes can be a warning sign that you need to watch your back.
100%. Yeah. And it
Um,
also, I found myself being a version of myself that I didn't like because I found that I was leaning in to listen to that gossip. Or I would add, oh, and you know what I heard? Or, oh, that's different because I heard. That's not who I want to be. Right. And when you're in those circles, I think a lot of times we do feel pressure to engage in that type of behavior versus saying, you know what? I'm not going to talk about her like that. Or, let's change the subject. I think that's very hard. And I'll be honest, I don't think I was strong enough or
yeah,
brave enough to put a stop to it, especially when I was one of 40. So I just found a room that felt better. Right?
I love that. I love that, and I also love um, how you talk about shining your light, because I didn't know about my light shining until I got myself a really strong and brilliant mentor, and she's still my mentor today. And how mentoring, as you're saying earlier, that people in your life that are a couple of steps ahead of you, right? And it can see things that you can't. And when you've been in the dark so long, and it took for my mentor to say to me that you are in the dark so long, but dark will always try to snuff out the light, but light will find cracks, it shine, and you will shine. And that's what I really like about what you say about shining and shining for other people. And, our job as mentors with our clients is to help them to shine their own light, right? And come out of that dark, so to speak. The other thing I wanted to chat to you about, Leanna, was that you managed to convince your husband to give up his stable pension. Was that was it of 22 years or
Yes,
20
yes.
going to be 22 years?
Yep. He
And
just finished out 22 years. Yeah.
of where he was working, was he serving in the defense or over there, or what was he doing? Tell me about that.
Yeah. He was in law enforcement. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you chatted to him, or you leaned on him, or how did that go? Tell me a bit about that, because I'm really interested in that, please.
Yeah. So we were raised so differently. He was raised that you get a job and you stay there and you work the 20 years and you get a pension and then you retire. And, then he meets me and I'm like, oh, well, I'm a business owner and, I'll figure out retirement later. And, all of these things we're complete opposite. But I saw the toll that interacting with people on their very worst day,
Mm,
all day, every day for 22 years,
mm,
that's really difficult.
yeah.
He has a strength that I definitely could not,
Mm,
kind of endure for that length of time. And I saw that he had helped me by supporting me and loving me and talking me off the ledge on the hard days. of business ownership. And I said, why don't you come join me? And it had never crossed his mind not to have a stable 9 to 5 through, Monday through Friday kind of job. And he believed enough in me and what I had built to take that leap. Right.
Yeah.
And he had no idea. He got into it and he's like, you made this look so easy. This is really hard. He's like, it's an actual job. And I started laughing and I said, yeah, actually, it really is. There's a lot of responsibilities. And so convinced him to quit. After 22 years, we retired him. He worked about a year and a half, almost 2 years with us. And I said, you know what, let's sell the business. And he was like, wait, what? So I went from having a super stable job to being a business owner to now not having anything. Right. And, but he trusted me and he took the leap again. And we are having so much fun in this new era of with me and mentorship and coaching and consulting. And he actually does security consulting. So he helps families feel safe in their own home.
Yay.
So
he managed to take his skill set and hone that into something that works for him and works around your family dynamics, right?
Yes, exactly. And he had no idea what business ownership meant. And to see him now step into his own business, because he saw me navigate the waters that I navigated, is such an honor and such a honor is the only word I can really think of, right? He saw the journey and he was willing to take it not once with me, but now twice, right?
And navigate his journey, his own personal journey. And talk me through a little bit about, it sounds like not risk taking, but you're not afraid to take a leap of faith, because that's what it is, right? You went from a stable job to a business now to a different, and it's known as a leap of faith. And what is it in you, or what is it that makes you know that everything's going to be okay? A leap of faith, a leap of, I just know that everything's going to be okay. I might have the backing to do it. What is it in you, in your personal soul, that makes it okay and makes you feel comfortable to be able? Because a lot of women I work with, again, there's public service jobs here in Australia that they've been there for 20 years, but they absolutely hate it. They worked in these departments, and although it's paying the mortgage, they're dying in their soul. And I want to talk a little bit about us as midlife women that have taken that leap. Talk me around that. What was it in you that you knew it was going to be okay to do that, Leanna?
I think because up now, I've always been okay. That doesn't mean it hasn't been hard, but I've always managed to figure it out. And if I've lived more than half my life, I'm 47, right? So if I've lived more than half my life and I've been okay, why wouldn't I be okay? Is the first thing that I remind myself of. And the second is that I think to whom much is given, much is expected. I have been given so many wonderful things in my life, so many blessings, that I specifically attribute to other women who believed in me, who loved on me, who encouraged me, that I want to be that for someone else or for, another group of women. They impacted me, which impacted my staff, which impacted, you know what I mean? Like the ripple effect is huge.
Yeah.
And I just feel like because someone did it and I know the benefits, I want to pay that forward. And I think if you're doing something out of love and gratitude and a willingness to share, you're never going to fail. Even in the hard days, you're not going to fail because it's coming from a place of love. Right?
Yeah, I like that. And I like that you're willing, that ripple effect, you throw the stone in the pond and, the ripple effect. And as you're saying, your team then see that someone's done something for you, and then they learn that, pay it forward as well. And I love that. And I think everything works out in the end. It's just having the foresight and, the fortitude mentally, emotionally, physically and spiritually sometimes to say, yes, I know it's going to fit. If I can just get through this uncomfortable part, I know it'll be okay. But, as mentors, we know too, sometimes we mentor people and they get a couple of steps away from the gold and they go, it's just too hard. The uncertainty is just too much. And, but as you say, there's been many women before us that have loved on us and said, come on the bad days, and put their arms around us on the bad days, and then clapped us and cheered us on the really good days as well. And I think that's the important part of mentorship and coaching, as you were saying. So that's really good to hear. And you've always been in Arizona, Leanna?
No, I have lived in several different states. So I'm originally a California girl. So I was born and raised in California. I moved to Texas to go to college, met my first husband. We moved to Arizona. Then I moved to Colorado. Now we're back in Arizona and I'm good. Like, I'm home. This is it. And so
this is where you'll see your days out mentoring, and your husband was doing his security consulting.
Yes. Yeah. Very excited. And I will tell you that Australia is his dream trip. So
really?
Here he will be 50. I'm hoping to get him there on a surprise visit. But it is his number one bucket list places to
Come
visit.
on down under and visit. Come and visit me. What does he want to do? What specifically does he want to do when he comes to the land of Oz?
So I don't know if this is something everybody knows about, but he's a huge Toyota lover, and there's an FJ40 museum that has all of these Toyotas.
Yep.
That honestly doesn't sound like fun. I want to cuddle with koalas, but that's what he wants to do. And I think we'd love to go see the Opera House and, of course, all the iconic things.
Yeah, absolutely. Sydney Opera House, the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'd like to come back. I was in America earlier this year for a book launch where I co-authored with 40 other people and a bestseller. So,
wow. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we were in New York. So, yeah, I'd like to get back over and get out to some of the other states and have a look at the countryside. And, So, lovely. All right. So, thank you so much. As we wrap up this episode of Midlife Unplugged, the Fuck It Years, I'd like to thank you for your time, Leanna. It's been lovely. It's been a blessing and an honour to host you and chat to you. And I can't wait to keep following your journey. Yeah, we've got a lot to be grateful and thankful for most days, I feel. Most days are good. You can see the good in one thing and be grateful for one thing. I reckon that's pretty good.
Yeah. And I think it starts snowballing. Once you find the first good thing, more and more happens. So
definitely. Okay, everybody. So thank you for joining us on Midlife Unplugged, the Fuck It Years. Once again, I'm your host, Lara Portelli, signing off for now and looking forward to seeing you again when our next host comes and joins us. Bye for now. That's a wrap on this episode of Midlife Unplugged, the Fuck It Years. If today's conversation lit something up in you, hit subscribe, share it with your midlife crew, and keep the conversation going. I'm Lara Portelli. See you next week for another raw, real, and unapologetic chat.